Hello everyone, I'm Dave Thomas, and today I am building the 2.14 inch electronics bay from LOC Precision, and this is meant to fit in their 2.2 inch body tube rockets. I actually bought this one specifically for the Nuke Pro Max that I'm working on and will have available under another video, but this will fit any of LOC's 2.2 inch rockets that have payload bays. So we're going to go ahead and open this up here. Okay, like most of LOC's kits, the instructions are pretty basic. So we'll just open this up here. Okay, so first of all we need to make sure we've got everything. So we've got a coupler and a switch band ring there. Okay, inside we have the sled itself, two bulkheads, and then two rings. Alright, two pieces of threaded rod, and then we've got a little package in here. And this is going to have the connector plates and all of the hardware necessary to put this together. It looks like it's all there. Alright, so we'll go to the first step here. Now they're using epoxy on everything in here. Frankly, for the wood-to-wood joints, wood glue should work just fine. And in fact, none of these wood-to-wood joints are actually taking a whole lot of stress. So the first thing we're going to do is take the step rings here and we're going to glue those to the inside of the bulkhead. So the part with the writing on them, those are the outer parts of the bulkheads there. We want these on the inside. And sometimes the rings have a little bit of a taper to them where the laser was not quite at the right angle there. And I'm putting the thinner part of that taper toward the inside because that'll just make it easier to hook on. What this is doing is centering the coupler there onto the bulkheads. So these are going to go on inside once this is all assembled and such. Alright, we may have to do a little bit of sanding there. We'll do that afterward. Alright, I would not use just white glue on this, so make sure it's an actual wood glue. And, okay, so if these are facing with the center toward the top there, they don't want us to glue the edges there. I'm not quite sure why that is, but we'll go with it. One thing I can think of is maybe it provides a little bit of a vent. Alright, so we want the non-glued areas just above the holes. Okay, and you do have to eyeball center this. There's no markings on it. Alright, and then go ahead and clean out excess glue so that it doesn't interfere with the coupler tube later on. And then here I'm just going to do the same thing with the other ring. That one does have a little bit of a taper to it. Alright, and once more, kind of keeping the unglued areas close to the holes there toward the top. And press that down. And again, get rid of the excess glue along those edges. Now if you're using epoxy, you're going to be doing the exact same thing. It'll just be harder to clean up. Okay. So we'll let those dry. I'm going to skip ahead here to the wooden blinkies, which is what they call the little mounting pieces there. Okay, and again, the instructions call for epoxy. All these are doing are retaining the sled itself onto the rods here. It's not actually taking a lot of stress. And so here again, if you want, you can use wood glue rather than epoxy. And first I'm just going to make sure that these fit as they should. Okay, it feels a little tight there. Okay, so if that is the case, you can just take a small file here . Okay, we'll try this again. Alright. That goes in much easier, though it's still snug. That's alright. So here, I'm just going to run a little bead of glue. Okay, get all the surfaces there. Oh, a little bit over here. We'll just pop that back in. Okay, on the back side, just smooth out any excess glue there. On that one, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue in the hole, just to make sure we got maximum adhesion. Okay. And a little bit of glue coming out there, it's not a big deal. You can just smooth it in. Alright, we're going to do the same thing on the other end. It was also kind of tight, so we just file that out. Now the alternative is you can also sand or file this piece, but it's a lot easier to file holes. Okay, so once again, that's going to be snug, but it works. So we'll just add some glue here. Pop that back in. Okay, smooth the glue on the back and on the front, like that. And we'll just allow that to dry. Right, so now we're going to jump back to number 2 here, and we will assemble the 2 eye bolts. Okay, so we're going to put a regular nut and a washer on each. And we've got 2 different washers here. Okay, they're actually, instructions say they're all one type of washer. Okay, so what we're going to do is just screw on one of the regular nuts here. and add a washer. Do that with both. Okay. And you can adjust this to whatever height you need. And that is going to go on there, and you can put it in whatever direction works for you. Okay, on the back side here, it's using okay, we've got 2 lock nuts, and those are going to go on one end with the threaded rods, which means that these guys here are just going to go on like this. So let's put another washer and another regular nut there. And I'm not going to tighten this down, but when you get it where you want it, then you'll need 2, and they say 10mm wrenches to stick this together. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the other bulkhead. Alright, so that assembly there. And once you have these the way you want them, you can tack them in place with epoxy or with thread lock or whatever other adhesive that you like to use on nuts and bolts. Once the glue is dry on everything, we can put this together. And you're going to need a couple of wrenches here. And so first of all, we're going to run 2 of the regular nuts down a little ways here, not too far. And then we're going to add a washer to each of those. And then that's going to go in one end here. So just pick a bulkhead, and that's going to become the aft end. Excuse me, the forward end. And here I'm going to go ahead, make sure that my eye bolt is vertical with respect to the other 2 holes there. And then we're just going to clamp this into place. Okay, so compress that in, so that's not going anywhere there. If you want, you can add thread lock or epoxy to that to make it even more immobile, but for now I want to be able to loosen it in case I need to adjust something here. Alright, and then I'm going to take my 2 threaded rods. Let's do this one at a time. So on the other end, we're also going to have a washer, and now we're going to use one of these lock nuts. And once more here, we're going to use the 2 wrenches to lock these down. Now this can get a little more complicated because the rod is going to want to try and move as well. So I'm just going to put that on finger tight, bring up the other one behind it here. Okay, and then sandwich the 2. Okay, now once you get this all assembled, you may want to fine tune that a bit. Maybe lock that down a bit better. For now, we'll go ahead and do this. So the same thing for the other lock nut there. That one just does not want to go on straight. There we go. Okay, so now the same way, I'm going to bring that up tight behind there. Hold on to that nut. And then we'll tighten here. Okay, so now we're going to take the sled and it's going to go on like this. So here, where the 2 threaded rods are down below the center there, Okay, so that's the side that we're going to put this on. Like that. Okay, and then just poke it through the next two holes there. Okay, now that's kind of hitting right against the nuts there, so if you need to, you can move those around a little bit. As I say, a little bit of fine tuning will probably be in order as you do this. What I'm trying to do is get the flats of the nuts to line up with the sled itself. There we go. Okay, now notice, see if you can see in there. Okay, the washers are preventing this from seating all the way on there. And I don't know if at this point if that's going to be a problem or not. But we're just going to be aware of it here for a moment so that when we put the other end on, it's something we can watch for. Okay, so now we're going to take two more of the regular nuts there. And those we can go all the way down at least to here. Alright, so I foresee a little bit of a challenge here. We'll see how this goes. Now, technically speaking, you really don't need these inside nuts. And it may be that we're not going to be able to use them really well anyway. Okay, and we've got my other bulkhead that's going to go on next. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down as well. Okay, now these are going to be down in the down position again. Alright, so here you can see that those nuts are getting in the way again. And even if I move them a little bit here, oops, get that in a moment. Okay, that's not going to go on very well. Alright, after rechecking the instructions, they actually don't have us put these on, so these must be spares. So that makes a lot more sense here. Okay, so if we put this on now like that, it will seat right up against there. Alright, now this is going to have this tube here in place. Okay, so we got a little bit of a gap, and that's just due to that thickness of the washer there, but it's not a really big one. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, just ignore that second set of screws on the ends, or nuts on the inside. And instead, now we can go straight to the washers up here. And these actually look like they're the next size too big of washers. So if you got a supply of washers, you might want to go down a size there so these aren't as sloppy. Okay, so once that's tightened down, we'll get the whole thing like this. The switch band here, in most cases, is going to fit right in the middle. And then this is where you would drill a hole through so that you have access to your power switch. Okay, now I bought this specifically for my Nuke Max Pro, or Nuke Pro Max. There we go, get all the words in the right order there. And so this is the payload section from that rocket. And so this would fit in here like this. Okay, and then this would fit into the rest of the rocket. And in order to give us access to the screws and such, and also just to remove this when needed, instead of gluing this into place, I recommend using 3 or 4 plastic rivets, drilling holes in here, and use those rivets to hold this in place. Okay, now I do have a video that I'm concurrently shooting for the Nuke Pro Max rocket, and I will show how this can be incorporated into that kit. So for now, that is the end of this particular build, and except for the little exceptions here that I showed there, this went together fairly easily. And so please stay tuned for more of my videos, and especially if you're interested in how this goes into a rocket, check out my Nuke Pro Max.